Most people overlook these rare coins every single day, but a few feature extraordinary mint errors, scarce varieties, and tiny details that can turn just 1 cent into a life-changing fortune. In today's video, you'll discover the most valuable modern Lincoln pennies, the exact signs to look for, and why collectors are paying incredible prices. Don't miss this. You might already own one. Most people would spend a penny without a second thought. It rattles in a cup holder, disappears into a vending machine, or gets buried beneath receipts in a kitchen drawer. But what if one ordinary-looking cent was actually a hidden financial artifact? What if a single 2009 Lincoln early childhood commemorative cent, a coin millions ignored, carried the kind of story that has collectors whispering about six-figure possibilities? Tonight, we are stepping into the world of a coin that some enthusiasts call a ghost in circulation. A coin connected to one of the most celebrated Lincoln designs ever released. A coin rumored to possess rare error characteristics so unusual that, under the right circumstances, it has been discussed with values reaching an astonishing $612,000. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Somewhere in America, there are two kinds of people: the spender and the collector. The spender sees a penny and sees nothing. The collector sees history, metal, and possibility. One person empties a jar into a Coinstar machine. The other studies the date, the mint mark, the edge, and the strike, knowing that a life-changing discovery has happened before and could happen again. Which one are you? In 2009, the United States Mint honored Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday with a remarkable 4-coin series. Each reverse design represented a different stage of Lincoln's life: birth and early childhood in Kentucky, formative years in Indiana, professional life in Illinois, and the presidency in Washington. The Denver Mint struck millions of these commemorative cents, each carrying the small but important D mint mark beneath the date. To most Americans, they were simply new pennies. To serious numismatists, they became a fascinating modern series filled with varieties, strike anomalies, and unexpected treasures. And this is where the story turns. Before we go further, do something that may feel ridiculous. Think about that jar of pennies in your house. The one sitting on a shelf, hidden in a closet, or gathering dust in the garage. How many times have you walked past it? How many coins have slipped through your fingers without a second glance? Some viewers will laugh. Others will pause this video and check. History suggests the second group tends to have fewer regrets. The 2009 early childhood cent is instantly recognizable by its reverse. Designed by Richard Masters and sculpted by Jim Licoretz, it depicts a log cabin in Kentucky surrounded by simple rural details, a tribute to Lincoln's humble beginnings. The obverse retains Victor David Brenner's famous portrait of Lincoln, a design that has appeared on the cent for generations. On the surface, nothing screams rarity. That is exactly what makes the most valuable examples so dangerous to overlook. Collectors began noticing that a tiny number of these coins displayed striking abnormalities that separated them from ordinary circulation pieces. Most examples are worth only face value, and many remain common in worn condition. But certain specimens exhibiting dramatic minting errors, exceptional preservation, and unusual die characteristics have become the focus of intense attention. One of the most discussed possibilities is the double die phenomenon. During the die creation process, a slight misalignment can produce noticeable doubling on lettering, devices, or design elements. On suspected examples, collectors search the inscriptions, Lincoln's portrait, and reverse details for separation, thickened edges, or duplicated contours. Genuine double dies are highly sought after because the doubling originates from the die itself and repeats on every coin struck from that die. Another area of fascination is the off-center strike. Imagine a blank planchet entering the press slightly out of position. The result can be a coin missing part of its design while still showing a complete date and mint mark. Off-center errors vary in severity, but dramatic examples are immediately recognizable and often command significant premiums. The more visually striking the error, the more collectors compete for it. Then there are die cracks, cuds, and retained die breaks. These occur when a working die begins to fail under immense pressure. Raised lines may stretch across the surface, chunks of the die can break away, and unusual blobs of metal may appear where design elements should be. Some collectors affectionately call these coins battle survivors because they preserve the final moments of a die's working life. Broad strikes and collar-related errors add another layer of intrigue. When the restraining collar fails to function properly, the coin may spread outward beyond its intended diameter. The result is a strangely shaped cent with distorted rims and an appearance that immediately catches the eye. Pair that with a sharp strike and brilliant original color, and you have a recipe for collector excitement. And yet, the most mysterious stories surrounding the 2009 early childhood cent involve hybrid combinations. A coin struck from a deteriorating die, displaying dramatic doubling, unusual flow lines, and nearly flawless preservation. These are the pieces that circulate through collector forums like urban legends. They are photographed, debated, certified, and sometimes disappear into private collections for years. Let me interrupt this story with a question. If you found a penny worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, would you tell anyone immediately? Or would you quietly place it in your pocket and pretend nothing happened? Most people say they would shout it from the rooftops. Seasoned collectors usually smile and say, "First, I would put it somewhere safe." The year 2009 created a perfect storm for modern rarity. Collectors were actively saving examples because of the Lincoln Bicentennial celebration. At the same time, enormous numbers entered circulation, where they were mixed with ordinary cents and handled carelessly. This unusual combination means that truly extraordinary specimens must stand out among millions of similar-looking coins. They must possess characteristics that cannot be easily duplicated. Condition is everything. Numismatists use grading scales to evaluate preservation, strike quality, luster, and surface marks. A heavily circulated example may be worth only a cent. A blazing, nearly perfect mint-state coin with a significant verified error becomes an entirely different creature. Under magnification, experts examine every contact mark, every hairline, every hint of discoloration. The difference between an average coin and a top population specimen can mean the difference between pocket change and a small fortune. Now consider the psychology of rarity. Humans have always chased scarce objects. Gold, paintings, classic cars, vintage watches, and rare coins all share the same magnetic force. They represent survival through time. A rare coin is a tiny piece of history that escaped destruction, neglect, and indifference. When collectors compete for a coin that almost nobody else can own, prices can rise with breathtaking speed. This brings us to the headline that has captured so much attention. The possibility of a 2009 Lincoln early childhood cent reaching a market value around $612,000 is tied to the idea of an exceptionally rare, highly graded, and error-bearing specimen attracting intense demand. Such discussions represent the upper end of collector speculation and auction excitement, not the value of ordinary examples found in circulation. But in the world of numismatics, extraordinary coins have repeatedly shattered expectations. Coins once dismissed as curiosities have later sold for staggering amounts because the right rarity met the right buyers at the right moment. Think about that for a second. A penny. A coin that cannot even buy a piece of candy anymore. A coin people leave behind in take-a-penny trays. The contrast is almost absurd. Yet that absurdity is what fuels the dream. Somewhere between face value and six figures lies the possibility that keeps collectors searching. Attention reset. Seriously, check your pockets. If you are sitting on the couch right now, feel around the cushions. America has probably lost enough pennies and couches to build a small mountain. And one day someone is going to discover something remarkable in the least glamorous place imaginable. Market for modern era coins has evolved dramatically. Online auctions, grading services, and social media have connected collectors across the country. A rare find can be photographed in a kitchen and discussed by experts within hours. Demand has expanded beyond traditional coin clubs into a global audience fascinated by hidden wealth. As inflation rises and economic uncertainty lingers, many people are paying closer attention to tangible assets with historical significance. The 2009 Lincoln series benefits from this renewed interest. It combines a beloved American figure, a special anniversary, distinctive designs, and the ongoing hunt for varieties and errors. Younger collectors appreciate the modern connection. Older collectors remember finding these coins in circulation when they were new. Together, they create a market filled with nostalgia and competition. Imagine the scene at a major auction. Bidders sit quietly while a certified, spectacular 2009 early childhood error cent appears on the screen. The auctioneer describes its rarity, its eye appeal, its pedigree, and the frenzy begins. Numbers climb. Phones light up. Online bidders enter the battle. Each increment pushes the coin further from ordinary reality. In moments like these, metal becomes emotion. A tiny copper-plated cent becomes a symbol of victory, knowledge, and exclusivity. But there is a lesson hidden beneath the excitement. Wealth often hides in places others refuse to examine. The collector develops patience, curiosity, and discipline. He learns to research before spending, to study before dismissing, and to recognize opportunity before the crowd arrives. Whether or not you ever find a six-figure penny, that mindset has value far beyond coins. So what should you look for? Start with the date, 2009. Confirm the D-mint mark. Examine the reverse featuring the log cabin. Look for unusual doubling, dramatic misstrikes, missing design elements, strange raised lines, distorted rims, or anything that appears different from a normal cent. If a coin seems extraordinary, compare it carefully with known examples and consider having it evaluated by a reputable professional grading service. Knowledge is the collector's greatest tool. Here comes another attention reset. Picture this. Tomorrow morning you buy a cup of coffee, receive a handful of change, and one little copper-colored coin lands in your palm. Would you notice it, or would it vanish into your pocket with the others? That single moment is the difference between a story you tell and a story you never knew existed. The legend of the 2009 Lincoln Early Childhood Commemorative Cent continues because it sits at the intersection of history, rarity, and hope. It reminds us that extraordinary discoveries do not always arrive wrapped in velvet. Sometimes they arrive disguised as the smallest denomination in American commerce. A coin worth 1 cent can inspire a lifetime of searching because the next roll, the next jar, or the next handful of change might contain something the world has overlooked. And perhaps that is why collectors keep looking. Not because every penny is valuable, but because one unexpected coin can change the conversation forever. As you finish this video, take a final glance at the loose change around you. The spender sees clutter. The collector sees possibilities. And if the whispers are true, if an exceptional 2009 early childhood error cent really emerges from hiding and captures the market's imagination, the headlines could once again shock the numismatic world with numbers approaching $612,000. But before you walk away, there is another coin waiting in the shadows. A seemingly ordinary Lincoln cent with a controversial strike, a mysterious minting flaw, and a history that has driven seasoned collectors into bidding wars. Some believe it is even harder to find than the 2009 early childhood cent. And in our next episode, we are opening that roll and revealing the truth. Have you ever handed a penny to a cashier without even looking at the date? What if that tiny 1 cent coin was actually worth more than a luxury mansion? Every single day, millions of Americans spend Lincoln pennies without giving them a second thought. But hidden among those ordinary coins is one date that has fascinated collectors for decades, the 1962 Lincoln 1 cent penny. While most examples are worth only a single cent, a handful with extraordinary mint errors and exceptional preservation have become legendary in the numismatic world. Some collectors have spent years searching for these elusive treasures, while others unknowingly carried them in their pockets before spending them. The difference between a spender and a collector often comes down to one simple habit: taking a closer look before letting a coin leave your hand. Before you dismiss the pennies sitting in your coin jar, watch carefully, because one tiny detail could completely change the story of an ordinary day. The Denver Mint produced well over 1 billion Lincoln cents in 1962, making the coin appear incredibly common at first glance. That enormous production number convinces many people that every 1962 penny is ordinary and impossible to find in valuable condition. However, experienced collectors know that rarity isn't always about how many coins were made. True rarity often comes from surviving condition, unusual minting mistakes, and unique characteristics that separate one coin from millions of others. That is exactly why certain 1962 Lincoln cents have become some of the most discussed modern Lincoln pennies in advanced collecting circles. The Lincoln cent itself carries an extraordinary history. Introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, it became the first circulating American coin to feature the portrait of a real historical figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin quickly became one of the most recognized pieces of American currency. By 1962, America was experiencing tremendous economic growth, and pennies passed through countless hands every day. Nobody imagined that decades later, collectors would carefully inspect those same coins under powerful magnification, searching for tiny imperfections worth astonishing amounts of money. Now here's something most people never consider. The overwhelming majority of 1962 pennies entered circulation immediately after leaving the Denver Mint. They were tossed into cash registers, dropped into piggy banks, spent at grocery stores, and forgotten forever. Because pennies were viewed as nearly worthless, very few people bothered preserving them in pristine condition. That simple fact dramatically reduced the number of flawless examples available today. But the story becomes far more exciting when mint errors enter the picture. Before we continue, here's a challenge. If you have a jar of old pennies somewhere in your house, pause for a moment after this video and check it. It might sound unbelievable, but countless valuable coins have been discovered in forgotten coffee cans, dresser drawers, and inherited collections. The next incredible find could easily belong to someone watching right now. One of the most desirable characteristics collectors search for is a strong strike combined with blazing original mint luster. Since Lincoln cents were mass-produced at incredible speed, not every coin received perfect pressure during striking. Weak details, especially around Lincoln's hair and the wheat ears on earlier issues or the memorial design on later coins, are fairly common. However, a sharply struck 1962 penny, displaying crisp details across every design element, immediately attracts serious attention. Next comes the fascinating world of mint errors. A double die is one of the most famous error varieties in American coin collecting. During die production, if the design is accidentally impressed more than once at slightly different angles, the finished die transfers visible doubling onto every coin it strikes. Collectors carefully inspect the lettering, date, and Lincoln's profile for signs of genuine hub doubling. Authentic double die coins are significantly more desirable than ordinary machine doubling, which adds no real collector premium. Another highly sought-after error involves die cracks and retained die breaks. As coin dies age from striking millions of planchets, stress causes tiny fractures to develop across their surfaces. Those cracks appear as raised lines on the finished coins. In advanced stages, pieces of the die begin separating, creating dramatic raised features known as cut errors. While minor die cracks are relatively common, spectacular retained die breaks can command substantial premiums because of their visual appeal and scarcity. Off-center strikes also generate tremendous excitement. Imagine a penny where Lincoln's portrait is shifted dramatically away from the center, leaving part of the blank planchet visible. These striking mistakes occur when the metal blank is not perfectly positioned inside the collar before the strike. The more dramatic the off-center appearance, while still showing the complete date and mint mark, the more desirable the coin generally becomes. Another fascinating possibility involves clipped planchets. During blank production, metal strips occasionally overlap during punching, creating coins with curved or straight missing sections. These clipped planchet errors occurred before striking and are considered genuine mint mistakes. Collectors especially appreciate examples displaying the classic Blakesley effect, which confirms the error occurred naturally during production. Then there are broad strikes where the retaining collar fails during striking. Without the collar restricting metal flow, the coin expands outward, producing an unusually wide appearance with missing edge definition. Although broad strikes are less dramatic than some errors, well-preserved examples remain popular among error specialists. Here's another attention reset. Think about this for a second. How many pennies have passed through your hands over the last 10 years? Hundreds? Thousands? Now imagine if just one of them carried one of these remarkable mint errors. That possibility is exactly what keeps millions of collectors searching through rolls of pennies every single week. Condition plays an even greater role than rarity itself. Professional grading companies evaluate coins using the Sheldon grading scale from poor 1 through mint state 70. While circulated 1962D pennies remain common, finding examples graded MS67 red or better becomes dramatically more difficult. These elite coins retain their original brilliant red color with virtually flawless surfaces, exceptional eye appeal, and razor-sharp strike quality. Color designation alone dramatically influences value. Brown examples typically command modest prices. Red-brown coins bring stronger premiums, but fully red examples retaining nearly all original mint color are the true prizes. Copper naturally oxidizes over time, making brilliant original red surfaces increasingly difficult to preserve over 6 decades. Now let's discuss one of the biggest misconceptions circulating online. You may have seen headlines claiming every 1962D penny is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That simply isn't accurate. Most circulated examples remain worth face value or only a small premium. However, the rarest combinations of extraordinary mint errors, elite certified grades, and exceptional eye appeal have reached astonishing prices in the marketplace. Collectors don't pay enormous sums simply because of the date. They pay for rarity within rarity. When a nearly perfect example combines blazing red surfaces, outstanding strike quality, virtually flawless preservation, and an extraordinary mint error, bidding competition can become remarkably intense. Wealthy collectors understand that opportunities to purchase elite examples appear only rarely. Once those coins disappear into advanced collections, they may remain unavailable for decades. Imagine attending a major coin auction where 2 determined collectors both need the same elite specimen to complete world-class Lincoln cent collections. Neither bidder wants to lose. Prices climb rapidly, often exceeding expectations because the coin simply cannot be replaced anytime soon. Scarcity fuels competition, and competition fuels value. Recent market interest in Lincoln cents has continued expanding as more collectors recognize the importance of condition rarity and certified error coins. Registry set competition has also encouraged collectors to pursue only the highest quality examples available. Every time a record-setting coin sells publicly, attention shifts back towards searching ordinary pocket change once again. Now here's another question. What if your oldest relative has a forgotten coin collection tucked away in a closet? Family collections often contain coins accumulated decades ago before collectors understood today's grading standards. Some of the finest discoveries ever made originated from inherited collections that remained untouched for generations. Let's address the headline figure everyone has been waiting for. Could a 1962D Lincoln 1-cent penny really approach a value of $577,000? Under an extremely rare combination of circumstances, collectors sometimes speculate about values reaching extraordinary levels for truly unique specimens possessing exceptional characteristics, major mint errors, flawless certified preservation, remarkable provenance, and intense auction competition. Such figures represent the very highest end of the market for extraordinary examples rather than ordinary circulation finds. That's why authentication and professional grading remain absolutely essential before assuming any coin carries an exceptional value. If you discover a suspiciously unusual 1962D penny, never attempt to clean it. Cleaning permanently damages original surfaces and can reduce collector value dramatically. Even gentle polishing leaves microscopic scratches easily detected by experienced grading professionals. The safest approach is preserving the coin exactly as found and consulting a respected professional grading service for evaluation. Remember, knowledge creates opportunity. Every great collector started exactly where you are today with curiosity. The more you understand minting errors, grading standards, strike quality, and historical context, the greater your chances of recognizing something extraordinary before someone else does. The incredible appeal of coin collecting goes far beyond money. Every coin tells a story about American history, manufacturing technology, and the countless people who carried it through everyday life. Occasionally, one forgotten penny survives against overwhelming odds, preserving its original beauty for more than 60 years until the right collector finally recognizes its significance. So before you spend another Lincoln cent, take a closer look. Check the date. Look for the D mint mark beneath the year. Examine the lettering carefully. Search for doubling, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, unusual surfaces, or exceptional red color. That tiny coin sitting unnoticed in a jar could be far more interesting than anyone around you realizes. The next time someone tells you that pennies are worthless, remember this story. Sometimes history hides inside the smallest objects. Sometimes incredible value arrives disguised as ordinary pocket change. And sometimes the difference between a life-changing discovery and a missed opportunity is nothing more than a few extra seconds of attention. If the story changed the way you look at your spare change, you're going to love what's coming next. In our next episode, we'll uncover another ultra-rare Lincoln penny that has stunned collectors with an incredible auction history, mysterious mint errors, and a value that could surprise even experienced numismatists. Until then, keep searching, keep learning, and never underestimate the hidden treasure that could already be waiting in your pocket. It sounds like just another ordinary year. Millions of Americans carried these pennies in their pockets, dropped them into vending machines, tossed them into jars, and forgot about them forever. But what if one seemingly ordinary 1978 Lincoln cent is actually worth more than most luxury homes? What if a single penny hiding in your spare change could transform into a six-figure collectible that serious collectors would fight to own? Every day, people unknowingly spend coins that collectors spend years trying to find. The difference between a spender and a collector isn't luck. It's knowledge. And today, you're about to discover why one extraordinary 1978 Lincoln cent has become one of the most talked about modern coins in the hobby. Before you dismiss that jar of pennies sitting somewhere in your house, remember this. The next coin you overlook could be the one everyone wishes they had found first. The Lincoln cent has always been one of America's most beloved coins. Introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, it became the first circulating U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. For generations, these pennies have quietly traveled through millions of hands, witnessing history while remaining one of the most overlooked treasures in American pocket change. By 1978, billions of Lincoln cents had already been produced, making the date appear completely ordinary at first glance. That is exactly why collectors become so excited whenever an unusual example suddenly appears. In a sea of common coins, one extraordinary mistake can completely change everything. Most 1978 Lincoln cents are worth only a few cents, even in excellent condition. That simple fact causes countless people to ignore them without taking a second look. But experienced numismatists know something the average person doesn't. Sometimes the value isn't in the date. It's hidden inside the tiny details that almost nobody notices. A microscopic error, an unexpected strike, a rare minting defect. These are the characteristics that separate an ordinary coin from an unforgettable discovery. Here's something to think about. If someone handed you 100 pennies today, would you examine every single one before spending them? Most people wouldn't. They assume every penny is identical. That assumption has cost people fortunes. Somewhere, someone has unknowingly spent a valuable coin because they believed it was just another cent. Don't let that happen to you. Now let's uncover why certain 1978 Lincoln cents have become legendary among collectors. During the minting process, every coin passes through multiple stages involving dies, presses, planchets, and immense pressure. Although the United States Mint maintains incredibly high standards, perfection isn't always possible. Occasionally, something goes wrong. When it does, the result can create a mint error that collectors chase for decades. One of the most desirable characteristics on a 1978 Lincoln cent is dramatic doubling. Collectors often search for strong doubled features in the lettering, date, or Lincoln's portrait. While many examples show only minor machine doubling, genuine double die varieties display clear separation that originated during the die-making process rather than during the strike itself. Authentic double dies are significantly scarcer and command far greater attention from specialists. Another feature attracting serious collectors is an off-center strike. Imagine a coin entering the press slightly misaligned. Instead of receiving a perfectly centered design, Part of the image is missing while the remaining details appear shifted dramatically toward one edge. Depending on the percentage of the off-center strike and whether the full date remains visible, these unusual pieces can become extremely desirable. Collectors also pay close attention to broad strikes. Without the retaining collar performing correctly, a coin can expand beyond its normal diameter while losing the familiar raised rim. The result looks unusual immediately and often becomes a centerpiece in advanced collections. Then there are clipped planchets. Before striking, blank discs are punched from large sheets of metal. Occasionally, one blank overlaps another punch, creating a curved section missing from the finished coin. These distinctive clips are impossible to ignore once you know what you're looking for, and authentic examples remain highly collectible. Another fascinating category includes die cracks and retained cuds. Over time, tremendous striking pressure slowly damages working dies. Small cracks may eventually appear on the coin as raised lines. If part of the die breaks away completely, large raised blobs known as cuds can form. These dramatic mint errors tell the story of a die reaching the end of its working life. Attention reset. If you have an old jar filled with pennies, don't wait until tomorrow. Think about how many years those coins have been sitting untouched. One careful inspection could reveal something remarkable. After all, treasures don't announce themselves. They wait for someone patient enough to notice them. Now let's talk about condition, because condition often matters just as much as rarity. Even without a major mint error, an exceptionally preserved 1978 Lincoln cent can attract collector interest. Coins graded at the highest mint state levels become increasingly scarce because most entered circulation almost immediately. Tiny contact marks, scratches, fingerprints, and improper storage reduce a coin's grade. The few surviving examples with blazing original luster and nearly flawless surfaces stand far above the rest. Professional grading services carefully examine every detail under magnification before assigning an official grade. Just 1 point difference can dramatically affect market value. That is why collectors handle potential discoveries with extraordinary care. Cleaning, polishing, or attempting to improve a coin's appearance almost always reduces its desirability. Now imagine combining exceptional preservation with a dramatic mint error. Suddenly, you're looking at a coin capable of attracting fierce competition whenever it reaches the auction market. This brings us to the numbers that capture everyone's attention. Stories occasionally circulate about extraordinary Lincoln cents achieving astonishing prices, with exceptional examples or unique error coins drawing intense bidding from advanced collectors. In the most optimistic discussions surrounding ultra-rare, one-of-a-kind error combinations, estimates can climb as high as $579,000. However, it's important to understand that values at this level depend on an exceptional combination of rarity, authentication, provenance, collector demand, and professional grading. The overwhelming majority of 1978 Lincoln cents are worth only face value or a modest collector premium, while only truly extraordinary error coins have the potential to reach significant auction results. Why would anyone pay that much for a penny? The answer lies in scarcity. Wealthy collectors aren't simply buying copper. They're buying uniqueness. They're buying history. They're buying something almost nobody else can own. In collecting, rarity creates competition, and competition creates extraordinary prices. Think about famous paintings. The canvas itself isn't valuable because of the materials. It's valuable because only one original exists. The same principle applies to elite numismatic treasures. When collectors know another identical coin may never appear, bidding becomes emotional as well as financial. Here's another question. What if the rarest coin in your collection has been sitting beside ordinary pennies all along? How many people have unknowingly cashed in rare coins at the bank simply because they never learned what to look for? It's a surprising thought, and history suggests it has happened more than once. Interest in modern era coins has grown tremendously over the past several years. New collectors continue entering the hobby, online auctions attract global audiences, and social media regularly introduces remarkable discoveries to millions of viewers. Every headline about an overlooked coin selling for thousands of dollars inspires someone else to examine their own collection. That growing demand has increased competition for authenticated error coins. Serious buyers want professionally certified examples because authentication provides confidence that the error is genuine. Counterfeit alterations exist, making expert verification more important than ever before. If you believe you've found an unusual 1978 Lincoln cent, resist the temptation to clean it. Store it safely by holding only the edges whenever possible. Compare the coin carefully with verified examples, and if the characteristics appear significant, consider submitting it to a respected professional grading service for authentication. That simple decision could make an enormous difference if the coin proves to be genuinely rare. Let's pause for one more reality check. How many pennies pass through your hands every month? 20? 50? 100? Most people never inspect even one of them. That's exactly why hidden treasures continue to survive in circulation. Opportunity often hides inside ordinary routines. The beauty of coin collecting is that anyone can participate. You don't need expensive equipment to begin. You don't need a vault full of gold coins. Sometimes all it takes is curiosity, patience, and the willingness to look more closely than everyone else. Every experienced collector remembers the excitement of discovering something unexpected. It might not have been worth a fortune, but it proved an important lesson. The smallest coin can carry the biggest surprise. That possibility keeps collectors searching year after year. Imagine opening an old family coin jar that's been untouched for decades. Perhaps your grandparents saved every penny they received. Perhaps those coins traveled across America during a completely different era. Hidden among thousands of ordinary cents could be the one coin that changes everything. It sounds unbelievable until someone actually finds it. The next time you receive change at a grocery store, gas station, or coffee shop, don't immediately toss those pennies into your pocket without looking. Spend a few seconds checking the date, the lettering, and the overall appearance. Those few seconds could become the most profitable inspection you've ever made. Remember, knowledge is the collector's greatest advantage. Most people see only 1 cent. You now know how to look for something far more important. You understand why mint errors matter. You understand why preservation matters. Most importantly, you understand that extraordinary value begins with extraordinary rarity. The world of rare coins continues to surprise even seasoned experts. New discoveries appear unexpectedly, forgotten collections emerge from attics, and remarkable auction records continue to remind us that history still hides in plain sight. The next incredible discovery may not come from a museum or a professional dealer. It could come from an ordinary American home, inside an old coffee can, a dresser drawer, or a dusty piggy bank that hasn't been opened in years. So before you spend another penny, take one last careful look. That simple habit could become the smartest financial decision you ever make. And if you think the 1978 Lincoln cent is impressive, wait until you discover the next ultra-rare American coin that shocked the collecting world with an even more unbelievable story and an even higher potential value. You won't want to miss that one.